And as we get you all the latest images right now of polling that are coming in from different states, I'd also like to bring in on this broadcast Rajdeep Sardesai, who's getting us all the live updates right now, and of course, his detailed analysis of what to expect. Rajdeep, good morning, or rather, namaskaram, namaskara, which do you prefer?
Namaskara, Akshita, namaskaram.
Rajdeep, phase 2, there's a lot of focus on it. To you, Rajdeep, why is this phase crucial? 88 seats, of course, but what makes it really a headline grabber for you?
You know, Akshita, a couple of reasons. Number one, this is a phase where the BJP has the chance to get the momentum that perhaps it didn't get in round one. Remember, in round one, you had major southern states like Tamil Nadu, which went to the polls, where the BJP really never had a chance to win seats. Many believe it could increase vote share. So that was a round which the India alliance had more to lose and therefore more at stake. Now, in this round, it's the BJP's turn. Out of the 88 seats going to the polls, 62 are held by the NDA alliance, a major chunk by the BJP itself. So this is the round where the BJP will hope to build on the momentum that it had 5 years ago in 2019. Another important reason, Akshita, remember in the first round, polling by an average was down by about 4%. This has led to concerns that maybe the voters not getting enthused enough. And we've seen in the last week, both the BJP and to some extent the opposition pumping up the volume a bit. And we finally have some kind of a election contest in parts of the country. So I think that will be interesting to see whether the voter turnout increases, even though the heat in several parts of the country is a factor. And thirdly, for the India alliance too, Akshita, a lot at stake in this round. Remember, entire Kerala goes to the polls, and the Congress won 19 out of the 20 seats. So if the Congress hopes to do better than it did in 2019, it needs to start from Kerala, and that's the one state it needs to retain. So a variety of reasons make this an extremely interesting, fascinating phase, especially as it spreads across 12 states. One last point, Karnataka. A state where the BJP got 25 out of 28 last time. The BJP would like to hold on to as many seats as it can in Karnataka. Southern Karnataka, which goes to the polls, is where it has a tie-up with the JDS. So much at stake there for them, as well as for Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who's hoping that the Congress gains in this phase.
You know, you've summed up for us really what phase 2 looks like, Rajdeep, perfectly. But you also mentioned how this election now has gotten rather exciting. And it started off essentially in Rajasthan, because that's where the Prime Minister, fired that fierce attack and made it largely about religion as well now in this electoral battle. Now, many believe that the reason the Prime Minister did that was to kind of counter the caste census narrative that the opposition has been building up in Rajasthan. What do you make of that? What do you think will be the impact really of that in Rajasthan?
I think there's a conscious pitch by the Prime Minister to galvanize the flock. I think the fear the BJP had because of this low voter turnout is, did all our supporters come to actually vote? Was it the heat? Was there a sense that, aayega to Modi hi, an inevitability of the outcome? How do I enthuse my core supporters? Which is why you go back to basics, go back to Hindu-Muslim narrative. Rajasthan is interesting because you would have thought, the BJP's got a done deal there, as in 2019. But reports coming from the field suggest there are seat-to-seat battles in Rajasthan. There are caste equations that have an important factor. It is a predominantly rural state. So the rural voter, is he as enthused as urban middle-class voters? Rajasthan could well be another bellwether state. If this is at all to be a Modi shining moment, and I don't think it is, but if it is at all to be, then the opposition will have to swing states like Rajasthan in their favor. The seat I'll look forward to is Banswara. This new party, BAP, really is a party, a tribal-based party to sort of watch out for, and look at the mess the Congress created. Their candidate hasn't pulled out, so you've got a triangular fight, even though BAP is supposed to now be part of the India alliance. So that's the kind of constituency I'll look forward to Banswara, to see whether actually on the ground something is changing or something is moving in this election.
Thanks very much, Rajdeep, for setting the stage for our coverage going forward. States to look out for, seats to look out for. Thanks very much for joining us with that.
Nandi, thank you very much. Dhanyawada.
Dhanyavadiklu, Rajdeep. Thanks very much. So, a bit of flavor of Malayalam and Kannada for you early this morning as Kerala all 20 seats and Karnataka 14 seats go to polls. And forgive us, but we're going to have to shift back and forth a whole lot because there's a lot of political action coming in from all of the states that are going to polls. But we'll ensure that we continue getting you a detailed look of each of these states and what really are the seats to watch out for. In Karnataka, one of those is Mandya, where you've got H.D. Kumaraswamy contesting in a Lok Sabha battle, shifting from state to national politics. Pramod Madhav is joining me live from Mandya. Pramod, good morning. A farming belt of Karnataka, Mandya has always been hugely politically significant, and this time too, it's going to see a very, very interesting battle, and it'll come down essentially to the Vokkaliga vote. Pramod, what's happening around you?
Absolutely, Akshita. Good morning. And this is a kind of a pink booth that you see behind us. This is at Ketaganahalli. And the important aspect here is that this is a place where the JDS leader H.D. Kumaraswamy and his family are going to cast their vote. We are expecting them to come over here by around 9:30 a.m. One unfortunate factor is that so far it's almost been 35 minutes, but we don't see a much bigger voter turnout, probably one or two. And inside you could see, being a kind of a pink booth, everything is handled by women over here and everything is going smooth so far. The poll booth agents, everybody are here, and all they are waiting for is for the voters to come and cast their vote. We urge the voters to come out and cast their vote. Yes, sir, the temperature is a little high and as such, but this is their responsibility, and that's what you see over here. So all things have been said, and just like you mentioned, this is a very important area as well. Rural Bengaluru, the battle is going to be between C.N. Manjunath, who's contesting on a BJP seat, and he's the son-in-law of Devagowda, and also the D.K. Suresh, who has won here for the past 3 times. So 4 elections have been conducted at rural Bengaluru.
Pramod, I'm just going to interrupt because on our screens right now are images of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman casting her vote. Her vote is, of course, in the city of Bengaluru. So she too stepping out early in the morning to go ahead and exercise her franchise.